my name's Allison.
You're going to give an introduction.
Yeah. I'm an international student, and...
From where?
Paris, France. Now I say Paris, France, but I'm not really from Paris.
Guess I don't need to look at the camera at all.
I know, but it's pretty fun, actually.
Okay.
From this little town, called Saint-Germain-en-Laye. So if you have Paris, and then you have Versailles, I live, like, at the top of the triangle, like, right there. So, yeah. And I came here because I also have family in California, and I was like, if I have the opportunity to live in California and study in the U.S., might as well. So, yeah, that's my introduction.
Yeah. Nice. So I guess what are you studying here?
I'm studying chemical engineering. I'm a sophomore. It's pretty fun, but pretty daring, because it's not what I expected it to be, and then just the course load is adding up.
Yeah.
Because people take 3 classes, and they're like, oh, I have so much work. And I'm like, so I'm at 6 classes, and you are at how many? 9?
10.
That's 35 units for you. Oh my god. Yeah. So I'm at 6, and I'm already like, ooh, this is a boatload. So I'm trying to swim through that and survive. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess engineering's fun because I feel like nobody really knows what engineers do, but we all kind of go into it, expecting some money, but like some math and physics, but don't really know like exactly what it entails. So like from your perspective, growing up, I imagine you had some idea of maybe going into chemistry or engineering in some way, but didn't really know what that would look like, from an educational level, from a research level, and then, beyond. So I guess, like, how's that experience been for you from going from, like, being a kid and thinking, I'm going to do this, right? And then now, being a young adult and actually going through it.
And doing it.
And, like, taking the classes and being a part of research. How has your perspective shifted on, chemistry, engineering, and just kind of, like, your general life perspective of, like, what you want to end up doing with it in the future?
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you mentioned that nobody knows what an engineer does.
Yeah.
Nobody does. I was like, I'm gonna go do engineering. It sounds good because I like math, I like physics, and I like chemistry. So I'm like, best of all 3 worlds, engineer. And somebody, like, genuinely, somebody did ask me, like, so what's an engineer? And I was like, I don't really know. Yeah. Came to college, first day of class, professor, like, this was, like, the Chem E intro class. And they're like, oh, why did you pick this major? Deadass. Because it sounded fun. Yeah. Because you have the drop-down list on the California thing, and they're like, oh, so, like, what type of engineer? And I was like, electrical? No way. Mechie? I could do mechanical. Chemistry? Let's do chemistry. So I literally picked it off because I was like, sounds cool, I could do it. Had no idea what it entailed. Yeah. None. And then he was like, okay, so, like, what is a Chem-E? And literally looked around the room, and 2 people spoke up, 3.
Do you feel like you know the answer today?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, my God. But, like, that first day, I was so confused. I was like, what is a Chem-E? And I left that, like, 50-minute class. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Nice, yeah. I kid you not. And so, technically, do you want me to tell you what a Chem-E does?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, a lot of people get it confused with chemistry. Like, chemistry and chemical engineering, 2 very different things. Because you're a chemist, let's say you're trying to come up with a drug, okay? Drug that'll cure cancer. Woo! And your chemist will be working at a lab, and he's going to be working with very little, like, vials and stuff, and he'll find it, and this will be how much he's going to produce. And he's going to be like, yeah, that's the cure for cancer. Okay. And then he's going to give it to me. Yeah. And so I, as a chemical engineer, I'm going to take it, I'm just going to scale it up. Gotcha. So I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to put it into tens of thousands of gallons. And so all of, like, a chemical engineer needs to know his chemistry, because he needs to know what he's dealing with, what products he's putting together, how those products are going to react together, how they're going to react with the container itself. Like, if you got a steel container, and nothing is coming up right now, but if you got a steel container and one of your products will rust with that steel container, you're probably going to have to change the container. Right. And so all of a Chemie does is fluid dynamics. If you're working with gases, like gas dynamics, and like how you're gonna put two and two together. And so we're kind of the bridge between the chemist and then the actual like product that the public will see, because we just make everything bigger. And so I learned that day one, and I was like, crap, that kind of sounds fun. Now it's become a lot more than just fun. It's just become hard now.
Yeah.
But that comes with the job. I like that. And it was between mechanical and chemical. And I was like, thank God I did not take mechanical. I'll leave all the physics to you. Yeah. I don't know how you do it, by the way. What draws you to physics? What draws you to, like, mechanical and statics?
I guess I'm just kind of lucky that since I was a little kid, I always had a general idea of what I wanted to do. Kind of like a general astrophysics, aerospace engineering kind of background.
Yeah.
Mechanical engineering is the closest thing you can get to aerospace engineering. Matter of fact, a lot of programs have their aerospace engineers and their mechanical engineers as like one major, and they're called like mechanical and aerospace engineering, where they take all the same upper division classes. Maybe the aerospace takes like a supersonic fluids class, like as like a specialization, but it's basically aerospace engineering with a specialization. So that's why I do what I do. As for like the more physics stuff, I don't know, I just find it really elegant. I feel like in engineering, they lie to us a lot about like the true nature of how our physics works.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, in like statics, we weren't even using vectors for forces. Like everything's super reduced and simplified. But in like the physics courses, they use a lot of really robust and heavy math.
Yeah.
That's something that I was really drawn to, is, you know, using, for example, like nabla, like often in all of our equations, and like using full vectors and kind of really describing everything. I just felt like that was super elegant, and I liked like the rigor of that. Especially at the school, like those physics classes aren't easy. Like I've yet to get an A, like a full A in one of those classes, but it's still like really enjoyable in that sense. So, and that's why I kind of been doing what I've been doing there.
Yeah. Did you said when you were a kid, like you knew what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Was it like for Christmas? I don't know, you were like 7.
Yeah.
And you got your first like Lego rocket, and then you were like, I want to build that.
No, I don't know. Like I genuinely don't know exactly what exactly it was. I just know since I was like super, super young, like as young as I could think, it was always like, there's always two things, like aerospace and some sort of like acting, directing kind of thing. So like those things have been constants in my life. It's just, I don't know where it stemmed from, why it stemmed from.
Not even your parents?
On either front, no.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it was just a thing.
I have to say, I feel like that's pretty lucky. Because I was in high school, and I don't know what I like these subjects. I like these subjects because I'm good at them. But I like these subjects. I don't know what I want to do. And then I got lucky because turns out the major I chose, I was like, I'm going to stick with it. Some people aren't as lucky. But to know, since you're like this big, I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know, because that's when dreams come in. You know, you always had that dream. And when you have public speakers, I'm like, I was 7 and I had the dream to do this. And then they, like, 25, 30 years later, they actually do it. You're like, holy crap, that's amazing. And I'm like, I never really had a dream. But, I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm saying I'm amazed.
No, I'm very lucky. Like, very, very lucky. And actually, it kind of dawned on me recently that it's like, I'm essentially doing aerospace engineering, like, right now. That was, like, a realization that I had maybe 2 months ago. I was really shocked. I was like, wait a minute. I'm doing it right now. Because it's like I'm doing all the mechanical stuff, but then I have a label aerospace.
Yeah, but you're like working towards it.
But I'm doing like all the materials classes as well, right? I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like if I was like thinking, I was like, okay, if I was going to become like working in the aerospace industry, like what would my day-to-day look like? It looks a lot the same as what I'm doing right now, because I'm doing materials, doing physics, I'm doing mechanical, and then like in like the research lab, I'm like designing materials like for rockets. I'm like, wait a minute, this is exactly what it would look like if I were to start working in an aerospace company today, working on like 3D printed materials. So I was like, oh, this is what aerospace engineering is. Because I felt like even up until this point, I had like a bit of like a kid view of like aerospace engineering. Like, oh, I'm just going to be building the whole rocket by myself, you know? And I was like, wait a minute, that isn't what engineering is. Like, you're going to be focusing on such a specific part of the process and like, you know, really optimizing and working on that. I was like, oh, that's what that is, you know? And that's what I'm doing right now. I was working in such a specific part that I just didn't even realize. I was like, oh, I'm contributing to the whole of like the aerospace engineering, you know, I guess discography, right? I was like, oh, I'm not building the whole rocket right now. I'm not doing aerospace engineering. But I was like, wait a minute, like I am. So
you're working on that little vent on the whole spaceship. Like the vent is your project.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah. So it was a little shocking for me to like have that revelation. I was like, I don't know, I felt like it really made me, it almost like made me mature a bit, because I was like, I didn't have that kid view on that anymore, and like able to enjoy my day-to-day a lot more, but like realizing that I was like, okay, like I am doing this.
Yeah.
So
I didn't have that realization at all, but I had a similar realization where I was looking at my courses and the different classes I'm taking, and how they kind of just like all perfectly mesh into each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, there's a reason I'm studying this. Because sometimes, you know, you kind of, someone just throws a course to your face and like, oh crap, why am I doing this? And then you realize, well, you need this for this other course.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I had that realization, it was last quarter, because I was like, why am I studying this? And then I remember seeing in another class something I had just learned the same day. Like, literally 2 hours before, I had learned this thing in, like, it was differential equations.
Yeah.
And then I used it 2 hours later in my other class. And I was like, wait, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it inspired me too. I was like, wait, it's not that I can see the end goal, but I can see the end goal. But I can also see, like, all the building blocks. And then I think what was most fascinating was seeing my knowledge just, like, increase.
Yeah.
That is the like little nerdy part of me, is that now I'm just like, I'm a fiend for knowledge. I want to learn more. I want to learn. And so that's like, okay, this is no, we're diverging, but every book that I've started reading is purely like knowledge based.
Yeah.
And some people hate that. Some people are like,
have you seen this?
Yeah, there you go. I opened it and then there was literally a rocket. Wait, hold on, where'd the rocket go? And I was like, this is sick. Like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I mean, I've only gone like 2 pages in, like, don't give me credit. But no, I 100% agree. Just today I was thinking about, like, how much have I learned in the last year and a half since fall quarter freshman year?
So much.
So I was like, oh, I didn't know what a vector was, and now using vector multiplication is so trivial to me.
Yeah.
Right, and all these kind of very complex things. I was like, all these things, and I feel like I didn't even work too hard. I put an effort, but I felt like...
Oh, you are, yeah.
I felt like I wasn't at 100%, and I was like, I've learned so much in this last year and a half, and this quarter I've really been applying myself a lot more, and like really being 100% optimal with all my time. I was like, I wonder if I were to continue what I've been doing like for this last week for another year, how much can I really learn?
So much.
Because I'm like,
it's crazy.
I didn't know anything before college. I feel like for all the stuff that I use now, I'm like, I did not, you know,
no idea.
Like, I zoom out on my notes and I'm like, the person who I was a year ago would not understand a single thing on there. Because it's all Greek letters. Right?
That's all of physics, guys.
Yeah. Like, there aren't any numbers. I guess if there are, it's like, you know, there's barely any numbers. Like, it's all Greek letters. It's all this concept stuff. But to me, it's just like a new language that I had learned. And then...
Yeah.
Or even like using AI. Like, I didn't even use ChatGPT ever in my life. And then now it's like an integral part of everything that I do. I'm like, I've really learned a lot. And it's really fascinating. Like, seeing that growth.
Yeah. And to think like here you go. Yeah. We're second years, we're sophomores.
Right.
We did 1 quarter. We still got 2 more, maybe 3 if you're doing summer. And I've learned a ton. At this point, I don't even remember what I knew in high school. Like, leaving high school, I was like, you know, I might have been just like a fucking vegetable at this point. Like, I wouldn't have known. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then since then, and the funny part is, well, the crazy part is, I remember what I did last year, fall quarter. I remember what I learned.
Yeah.
You know, it's not knowledge that you lose. It's knowledge that you accumulate. Right. And that has never really happened, especially in high school. high school, you're forced to take, like, this AP class and this and this and this and that. There's no link, and then you kind of just, like, forget it. And here it's just a continuous process towards, like, being, aerospace engineer. And you understand it, especially you put it together, like, during research. All your courses, you're taking them like that, and that's your research. And so you're applying it, so you're not even forgetting it. And makes me feel kind of intelligent. I'm like, wait.
Even what's fascinating on the research front that I'm sure you also experience is like I feel like we don't really know that much, especially when you look at like how much these professors know.
Yeah.
But then also to realize that we're doing research, it's like, okay, like we're at like the frontier of like what people know and don't know. It's like the project I'm working on is like, oh, nobody knows the answer to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did I get to the point that at 20 I'm doing something, and let's say I make a discovery on it, when I finish my project, work on the paper, and I'm talking about it, I'm going to be the only person in the world that knows
this specific
little thing, and it just like makes no sense that I feel like for example, I always grew up with like physics stuff, so it's like, oh, in order for me to do this for physics, I would need to get to like 80 years old and study.
Literally every little textbook.
Right, we're just engineers. Like, of course we would know everything, right?
Mm.
And then it's like, oh no, like I reached that at 20. Like, I feel like sometimes, I guess maybe it's like a little bit of like bias from like, it's like, I don't know what to call it, like present day bias, where sometimes I feel like my life didn't really start till like yesterday kind of thing.
Wow.
Or I feel like my life didn't really start till like I graduated high school.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That I get.
Like, I feel like that's when like I started like living life.
Well, I feel that makes sense because like you're currently living who you are right now, and that started in college.
Yeah.
Like you started this learning curve in college, and what you're doing right now is like what you're living through college.
Right,
and so you're living through your research. You're living through like your knowledge that you just recently acquired, which is why you think, oh, my life just started.
Yeah, or like individual agency, I think, is a big part of it too. Because like, we pick all of our classes, and like you pick exactly what you do every single moment of the day. Because you don't need to go to the classes. So if you do go,
you could sleep in.
Yeah, like it's like if you do go, it's like almost like you choose to go, right? And if you don't go, then
I mean that's on
you're doing something else.
You're missing on,
especially here, right? Because it's like if you don't go to class, where do you go? It's like you find like you end up on the beach, end up hanging out with friends, like. Yeah. How has that been like an experience for you? Like coming here, right? Of all schools, going from France, which I like Paris, but it's just kind of flat and grass, especially in the outskirts of the city. Like there isn't really much there. There are no mountains. That's one thing I really noticed in Europe. There are no mountains.
Well, we have the mountain range down. Like
5 hours away.
Yeah, okay, well, everything is 5 hours away in California.
But look in California, from here to LA to where I live, right, there's that constant backdrop of mountains.
True.
Right?
Yeah, you guys have...
And you just, like, go on the 8th floor of the library, right? Like, the mountain range, like almost, like, kisses the top of the window.
Yeah, I go hiking right there. Like, 30 minutes, I'm hiking.
But I guess how has your experience been as, like, an international student? And I feel like you're quite different in the sense that you don't really have an accent. Like, you've been able to assimilate, like, really, really well. Yeah. To the point where I'm sure when you tell people you're French, they, like, think, like, oh, okay, like, your mom's French, right? But then it's like, no,
like I live, like, home base. France.
Like, I grew up there, this is, like, the foreign land kind of thing. And, like, how's that kind of general experience been?
It was challenging. I knew it was going to be a challenge. Mm-hmm. And when people talk to you about culture difference, it's a thing. Yeah. Like, it really is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, something as stupid as the food. I had never eaten ranch before. And everybody was like, you have never eaten ranch? And I'm like, we don't have that. Like, we don't have that in France. Or we don't have the same, like, sweets or whatnot. And so, honestly, in terms of food, just food culture, crazy.
Yeah.
And still today, I've only eaten Chick-fil-A, like, twice.
Oh.
I've eaten In-N-Out 5 times.
Yeah.
Like, not that much. And everybody, there's like so many different aspects of culture that I could like talk about. So the food culture, there's so much, and I think that's just because actually it kind of just meshes because the U.S. has such a bad work culture, in my opinion. You guys get 2 weeks off. That's it. You're workaholics. You love working. All you do is work, and you talk about work.
In my opinion, the French don't work enough. Like,
We don't.
You guys don't work at all in August? Like, what's up with that?
We are off. We get 5 weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
If I have a 9 to 5, I will be leaving at 4:45.
Yeah.
Is what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna have my little appetizers. Well, anyways, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But so you guys have such a big work culture, but you make so much money, but you can't spend it on holiday because you only have 2 weeks. And so what you do is you just spend it on like commodities and like going out and getting food. And so everybody's like, oh, we should go get an acai bowl at like this little random place, and everybody's like, oh yeah. I'm like, what? Like, it's not like I don't go out that much.
Yeah.
And then as well, I don't know that place, and everybody knows it because they've gone there like, thousands of times in their lives, and I was like, whoa. And so that then brings on this other difficulty. It's not a language barrier, but it's a vocabulary barrier. They say words, and I'm like, what? Because they're referencing something, or they're referencing this restaurant, or they're just slang. I'm terrible with slang.
Is there a slang word that you like really like that you kind of
that I've caught on to?
Yeah,
honestly, no.
Is there one you hate?
Hey yo, bro. What's up, bro? And I'm like, why are you saying bro everywhere? It's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but it's disturbing when somebody uses it at the end of every sentence. I'm like, oh. Anyways, but and so you know what? I have a funny story for you.
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting. This was week 1. I was with my friends that I met in my hall, and we're all sitting at a table, and they're all yapping. I come from this place. I come from that place. Blah blah blah. And in those sentences, I could hear NorCal, SoCal. I literally flew into the country a week before, so I was like, oh yeah, pretending to follow. I was not following, and just like NorCal and SoCal just kept coming up, and it took me 45 minutes to understand that NorCal was like north of California and SoCal was like, well, south, like California south or whatnot. And I felt so stupid because for 45 minutes I was like, what are you talking about? What is this word? And then I'm obviously not going to look at someone and be like, hey, like, what is this word?
Yeah.
And so that's the only like one example I remember, but that must have happened to me like for dozens of words.
Oh, that's
just
so
because
funny.
I don't know them.
Yeah, and I guess also too, your English education was probably more tailored around like standard British.
It was very like I mean it was very formal. I mean all I did was because I went to an international school, and so I did the whole French curriculum.
Right.
And then on top of that, I had 8 hours of English, and I was part of the American section because there was also a British section. But,
it's so funny if you come like all posh.
hello, do you want some tea? No, but so those 8 hours, I had 5 hours of English lit, and then I had 3 hours of American history.
Sure.
So all of it was just analyzing texts in English lit, which is like proper Shakespeare. I mean, and then poems like Edna St. Vincent Millay, like proper stuff.
Right.
And so I come here and people are talking to me. I mean, they're talking like the French I talk, but just in English. You know, just like the slang.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, okay, guys. And it's funny because now my housemates, they just make fun of me. Well, but I go along with it.
I know them.
Yeah. Because sometimes I say words and they're like, yeah, you didn't want to use that word. You should have used this one. I was like,
like what? Like what?
Oh God, I think I said. There's this. Okay, the other day. This is such an embarrassing story. The other day we were playing spike ball.
Sure.
And there's this kid, like a couple feet away.
Yeah.
And he just like starts screaming, and he's like screaming like the top of his lungs. And I'm wanting to say like, holy cow, this man has a lot of like voice, like it's really strong, you know, like he's really like getting his point across. He's loud. And I said like girth, which is not the right word. It's not the right word. And my friend looked at me, she was like, you sure you wanted to use that? And I was like, fuck. But yeah, and then that's like the cool thing is I didn't forget my French in the sense where if I'm frustrated, I will automatically swear in French. Like, if something is aggravating me, I'm putain, merde! And all that jazz. So,
Yeah.
at least that's kept safe, intact.
Yeah, so have there been, like, any other, like, more personal challenges being, like, so far? Is all your friends from home or what?
9 hours away.
10, yeah.
Yeah. I get random calls at 4 a.m. and my friends are like, oh, sorry, I forgot about the time difference.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Honestly, I want to believe that I'm an individual who will just, like, be happy and enjoy life wherever I am. And, like, going here is just, it's a new step. It's like a new stepping stone.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I feel like you're, like, really good at that. I feel like whenever I see you, like, you're always in such a positive mood. And I feel like you're very good at, like, uplifting everyone around you. Like, I know if I ever saw you from afar, if I ever, like, ran into you, like, I know you were going to make my day better.
Aww.
You know? Like, I just, like, that's...
Wait, that makes me so happy.
I feel like you're one of the only, like, people that are met like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you, like, maintain such a positive vibe all the time? Because, you know, everyone goes through struggle at some point, but you're always there, right? You're always, like, you're a very consistent person on that. That's something I really admire. Like, how does that look like?
There's, like, there's so much to be grateful for. Mm-hmm. There's so much to be, like, happy about. You go out, and it's sunny, and, like, holy cow, it's sunny! Yay! And you start off your day being, like, in a happy mood. Yeah. And then you also, it's a question of, like, who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people you enjoy and you like being around, I'm going to be happy around you. Yeah. When I see you, the rare times on campus, I'm like, Eddie, let's go. Because, like, I like seeing you and I enjoy you. And so it's funny because, I mean, nobody's ever asked me that. Like, nobody's ever, it's just, in my opinion, it would be stupid to be grumpy. It's like, it's a waste of, it is actually a waste of energy. Mm-hmm. Being mean, being grumpy, being lazy, such a waste of energy. Yeah. I remember I tried being mean to one of my exes because, long story short, I got cheated on. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I'm going to make you pay. I'm payback. This is payback time. Yeah. So for a whole month, I was being a complete bitch. Every time I saw them, I was like, I don't know. I just like I was mean. Yeah. I wouldn't look at them. I mean, I'd take my distances, and then like if I did talk to them, I'd be like kind of like super passive aggressive.
Sure.
After a month, I was like, I'm quitting. Like this is so much work because you gotta just be chill, be relaxed, and I think that's where like the better you comes out. And also, I could say the same thing for you, okay? Because every time I see you, you're like a little ball of joy.
No, I feel like you bring it out of me. I feel like everywhere else I'm like a ball of misery, and then I see you, I'm like, ah!
Well, I guess that's how it works.
You know what, though? I will say, like, especially after fall quarter and all that, like last year, I think the biggest goal I've like had in mind is like being a more positive person. Yeah. Like it's something that I've been like working on continuously is like, how can I frame everything in a positive light? Like that's really been a big thing of mine.
And the way it unconsciously makes your life 100 times better. Yeah. Like if you're positive about work, you're gonna be so productive. And you despise work, but if you're positive about it, and then you might actually start liking it. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wait, I like this a lot. And then that makes you even happier. And then it's just like an accumulation of things that will just make you as a very happy individual.
So what is your like thought process go? Like, let's say Allison goes through something bad, right? But you're still you, right? You still go like what does that look like from like a day-to-day, like personal, philosophical level? Like how do you kind of overcome those things?
Great question. Well, so you remember I tore my ACL in February, right? Yeah. And I remember tore it, and I knew it was bad. Went to the emergency. Yeah, you tore your ACL. So that means a whole at least 9 months of recovery, and then potentially a year. And you can finally play sports again, but your knee is never ever going to be the same. Mm-hmm. And so many people hurt their knees because the knee is like one of the most complex parts of your body to fix, amongst other things. And it's a train wreck for them. And that was probably like the lowest I could ever have been. And I'd just be scrolling on TikTok and you see people talking about ACL surgery and everybody's like, oh, it's the worst period of my life, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were talking about these things and what they went through. And I thought about it. I was like, I'm not going through remotely the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had people telling me, like, Allison, I don't get it. Like, you just suffered a major injury. You can't walk. I physically could not walk at that point.
Right, yeah.
And I was still being, and people were telling me, like, yeah, you're still being happy. You're still being, and I don't know if it's because I was ignoring the problem.
Yeah.
It might have been a bit of that. Or I don't know if it's also...
Maybe you're just, like, looking at everything else. Like,
everything else.
Yeah, so, like, yes, this sucks, but, like, I'm grateful for...
Totally.
For, you know, I was almost, like, grateful for things to suck, you know, for me to, like, be able to endure that.
I learned so much, and then my interests changed. I, like, was thinking about different things that I never thought about because now I kind of had the time. Or I even thought about, like, you know, what a major injury does to you.
Yeah.
And so it's at that point, it was really eye-opening. Mm-hmm. But honestly, just going through and being positive about it, I think was just something intrinsic to me. Just I had to be positive because if not, I would just be spiraling down.
Yeah. Do you think there was, like, a moment when you were, like, younger that really made you, like, shift this mindset? Like having, going through a hard time? You know, you don't have to, like, really...
Yeah, go into details.
Yeah. But, like, do you think maybe it was that? Or do you think it's just, like, all these little things kind of piling up over time that were able to, like, make you a stronger person?
I think it's just, like yeah, what you just said. Mm-hmm. It's an accumulation of little things.
Yeah.
Kind of pile up, and then they make you who you are.
Yeah.
And this is, like, if you look at anybody, and, that person has... these anger issues, and that's because it just so happens that, you know, they had very bad relationship with their dad.
Right.
Okay, so an accumulation of little things.
Yeah.
And so I think I was just super lucky.
Yeah.
I grew up in an environment, both my parents, amazing, siblings, they were great.
You have siblings?
I have siblings!
I guess.
wait, hold on. Guess. Am I the oldest, the middle, or the youngest?
You've got to be the middle child.
Try again.
You're the youngest?
Yeah.
I guess it just never dawned on me to, like, consider that you had siblings.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 younger brothers.
You're the eldest? No! Okay, you know what? I could see that.
Yeah.
But, like, no, wait.
You know what's funny when you meet someone? It's like you realize that they have a twin. And it's like, there's, like, another one of you running around.
Yeah.
Like Alex.
I have no idea who Alex is.
Ma'am.
Oh.
Yeah. Alex.
Wait, Alex.
Mechanical engineer Alex?
Really? He has a twin?
He has an identical twin. He
does not go here.
He's a physics major at LA.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Ooh. Twins is a whole nother story. Like, why is it crazy that twins exist? And then go into triplets and, like, oh my god.
But, like, I feel like identical ones is, like...
Identical ones is scary.
You know.
And then, you know what's scarier is that they spend all their time together, and so they're literally the same person.
Yeah,
because
often,
they do the same things, they talk the same way, they think the same because they're always together. And so the moment the twins need to separate for college, it's something.
Yeah. No, I remember Alex telling me that he, like, wanted to
be with... wanted to separate?
Yeah, wanted to separate.
Okay.
Yeah, that was something they wanted.
Okay, that's good. That's kind of a mature decision to make. I like that.
Yeah.
I have to say, after 18 years, I think you would want to leave.
You know, but then Jacob and Sophia live right next to each other.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they're not identical, though.
They're not identical.
You know, like, girl, guy, I can see the difference. Because then she hangs out with, like, more girls, and he's, like, more guy. You know, and that was probably, like...
But it's still, like, really similar. I mean, they're both going into, like, computer science.
True.
Like, they both, like...
Had the same aspirations, like... Grew up the same, had the same experiences-ish. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. How do we start talking about twins?
Your siblings somehow...
Oh, we were talking about siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just had such a good childhood. And all those scientists telling you, like, sociology and stuff, like, telling you about, like, human development and everything is about childhood.
Yeah.
They're right. Like, I have to agree with them on a lot of points.
You know, I agree and I also disagree. If I can interject.
Why? Why'd you disagree?
I think like your past is important and your past experiences like kind of shape you a bit, but I also think like I'm very much a person who really loves like free will and like thinking like we 100% control even who we are, how we act, everything like that. And maybe I guess it's a bit of like my past stuff and where I've come today, but I feel like it's almost like a bit of our own individual agency to make sure that we still control who we are, you know, in spite of everything that we do.
And despite everything that happened in your childhood.
Right, yeah, and I guess I'm not the biggest subscriber to like, oh, I'm this way because this happened to me kind of thing. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of that, and I really like, you know, it's like not 100% ignoring that, but, you know, almost like being able to like still control who you are and your destiny. I'm a big fan of that.
I feel like we're kind of saying the same thing in the sense where I believe that it's a continuous process, you know? So you're in control of what's happening right now, and I am totally in control of what's happening right now too. Like, and I believe that everything that I do right now is just shaping me and who I am and what I believe. But I think it's at least in my opinion, like my experience, it's a continuation of who I was when I was 14, you know? Who I was when I was 18. Now that I'm like 19, nearly 20, it's still that continuous process. And I think I do see how it could be different for people, because some people, like, they're going to be 30 and they're going to look back and they're like, oh, yeah, I did that. Not so proud of it. And I hope to be someone who, when I'm 30, looks back and is very proud of what I've done.
So who do you want to be when you're 30? Because, you know, like, we were talking a little earlier about kind of saying, about, like, life not really beginning until, like, you know, a year ago, right? It's like, now we really have our own individual agency, you know, we pick kind of our career path, like, we're doing it, right?
We have so much more scope on what we actually can become.
Like, who do you want to be, like, 10 years from now?
In terms of, like, this is not academic at all.
Just anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah. I want to be very laid back, living life, enjoying life. You know, if I live near a beach, go surfing. I've started going surfing a lot right now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it's just this, like, spontaneity, I think, that makes someone beautiful, attractive in terms of, like, friendship, just, like, pure friendship. Also in anything else, of course. Yeah. But, like, someone that's just someone that's comfortable in, like, their body and who they are, and just loves life. Yeah. I think that's, like, as simple as it can be. I want to be someone who loves life, who enjoys it, who's happy, because what more could you ask for? Eddie, as individuals, like, what is our goal? I think it's just to be happy, to enjoy it. And you'll enjoy that through your career, through your friendships, through your relationships. Like,
yeah, you know, I don't really agree with the to be happy stuff, I'm going to be honest.
You don't want to be happy in life?
I do, but I don't. It's like,
well, that's miserable. That does not sound like fun. Holy cow.
But I do think it's a gift to be able to explore comfortably, you know, the plethora of emotions, right? I guess just from an artist perspective, like, I think, like, sadness, going through, in a healthy amount, right? Not despair, not destitution, but sadness can be really nice sometimes, you know? True. And, like, sometimes I almost, like, catch myself, like, being happy because I'm, like, able to not, like, soak in sadness, but, like I'm, like, able to acknowledge it and respect it, right? I guess it's like that Inside Out ending.
That's kind of crazy.
I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think, like, for me, my goal isn't to be happy, though it generally be nice to be happier than not for most of the time, but I think for me it's like to find my purpose. I think it's the big thing, is like find my purpose, and I think beyond that, like emotionally, it'd be to find peace, right? Because I feel like peace is acceptance of your circumstances, which means if you're sad, allowing yourself to be sad in a healthy way, recover from that. When you're happy, you're allowing yourself to be happy. It's like being present in the moment. To me, like, that's like peace. That's so deep. I seek peace, not particular happiness. Because I feel like if you're seeking a fleeting emotion, you know, it's like, what are you supposed to do?
I know what you're talking
about. Right? And I also think, like, happiness, especially when you're not doing very well, can be very misconstrued as feeling good. And I think it's a very easy way why a lot of people have, like, gone down the path of, like, addiction, for example, because they say, like, I'm seeking happiness, when they're really seeking, like, simple pleasures to kind of make themselves, like, lie to themselves, as opposed to, like, really realizing it's, like, I should be looking for, like, kind of peace or purpose, I guess, from my opinion and perspective. guess it allows you to endure a little bit more. But that, I don't know, that's just kind of like my thought process.
Wait, because I kind of agree with it. Wait,
Yeah.
you just pitched something that I really, wow, that was good. That reminded me of a philosophy class I took once. Yeah, especially when you said like the fleeting, just like feeling of happiness.
Right. And,
yeah.
And like our lives are fleeting, right? Like to me, something about physics that just kind of makes no sense is like the universe once didn't exist.
Yeah.
Then it existed. I didn't once exist. Then I existed. I one day won't exist. And then one day the universe won't exist. Like everything around me, even the fabric of space-time itself is temporary. It's like, what does that even mean?
That's going in some crazy philosophy.
In some
right
sense,
now.
like what does it even like? What does it even mean that one day like the universe just stops?
Okay, hold on. Technical point. How will the universe stop? Because it's technically constantly expanding.
Yeah, so you get to a point where all energy becomes like light and heat. It's just heat.
Oh yeah.
So there's more useful forms of energy and less useful forms of energy, right? And that's like the whole second law of thermodynamics is, the universe tends towards maximal entropy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually kind of a cool idea in some sense with light, but I'll go to that second. But the universe tends towards maximal entropy, right? So it's like if you have like a hard drive, right? When you first buy it, it's like all zeros. There's no data on it, and then as you continue to use it, like there's more ones they get added to it, more information, and you get to a point where everything's disordered, right? So the universe is going to get to a point where all energy becomes unusable. It's just heat. It's kind of cool in the sense that like all of our laws of physics kind of work forwards and backwards, except entropy, heat generation, all that. And you can kind of tell like if things are moving forwards and backwards in time.
Yeah.
But we'll get to a point where when everything's unusable, that
you can't go backwards.
You can't. It's not even you can't go backwards. You can't even tell a difference between going forwards in time and going backwards in time.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Like right now, we can tell the difference because if I was to take a picture, if I knew everything about this room and then we took a picture a minute later, we would know that the entropy of the room has increased due to heat generation and different things. But then you'll get to a point where everything's so disordered that one state and another state look completely identical. You don't even know that there's a difference. And it's like, so the universe just kind of ceases to exist and time kind of ceases to exist in that sense. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about life is, so it says that the universe tends towards maximal entropy. And it's kind of interesting. There's like a bit of like a philosophical physics perspective on it, that life exists because of this principle, because like the universe goes towards maximal entropy, and life itself is really good at turning low entropy things into high entropy things.
So we're kind of an intermediate.
We are working towards speeding up that process, that the universe kind of always works towards speeding up that process. Like think about it,
or the catalyst.
Yeah, chemical engineers, right? Like, what do? You take this coal or this natural gas liquid, you burn it, and you turn it from a liquid, low entropy state, to a hot gas, high entropy state.
Yeah, totally.
In humans, I mean, that's all we do all day. Just light gas and drive around on the 405 and stuff, right? And it's interesting that's like, in some sense, it's almost like given that due to these laws that life would spawn in, and then it's like, well, if that's the case, like, are we alone in the universe? Are we not alone in the universe? And, I feel like these big physics questions, become a little scary in the sense of, I don't even know what is scarier. What is scarier? That the universe is infinite or that it has a bound? That there are other life on other planets?
Wait, that's so funny. You just said the universe is infinite, but it has a bound.
No, or it has bounds. What's scarier? That it just goes on forever, or there's, an end?
Oh, or it has bounds.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Or with alien stuff, what's scarier? That there are aliens out there, with their own civilizations, Star Wars style.
Yeah.
They're more advanced than we are, or there's no other life in the rest of the universe.
Yeah. That'd be mad cool if there were other people.
Yeah, but what's scarier? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you literally have both extremes of the spectrum.
And you just look at that in all physics and philosophy, right? It's or if you even go small, the opposite of big, go small, right?
Yeah.
It's is there a finite resolution of our reality? What does that mean? Can you always zoom in forever? It's if you can, what does that mean? Or if you can, if there's an end point, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What's scary that every, because it's is it, of course everything should go on infinitely, or is of course there should be an end? And if it does end, then can you go beyond that? And if it's infinite, like, what does that even mean?
You're making my gears turn, Eddie. Oh my god, I'm thinking right now.
It's
fascinating.
It's just like, what? It doesn't even...
What do you think? Which is more scarier? You gotta tell me.
I think it's scarier for there to be bounds and for there to not be life.
I agree with that.
I think it'd be really terrifying if we were the only life in the entire universe.
Yeah.
But it's weird because every inch of this planet is infested with life. You know, you go to hydrothermal vents, which people thought for, the longest time, there's no way life could exist in these conditions. This is the least conducive of life
you got
anywhere on the
cells
planet.
And all that jazz living in the most horrid conditions.
Not just that. Now they're saying, we think life started here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, we think life started in conditions like this. And you're like, wait, so this went from life couldn't possibly exist here to now we think it started here?
I love science discoveries.
You know what I mean? It's
just
like
keep on compiling.
every inch of our planet is like consumed by life, but then we look outside and there's nothing.
There's nothing. There's no void.
Nothing.
I think it's just a question of space. There's just there's just distance, like physical space, until you will reach ultimately that one planet with that one form of life, which is going to be really weird.
We haven't seen any evidence of it.
I know, but I mean,
it's shocking that we're able. Yeah, but it's shocking to know how much we're able to know in some sense. Because, they look at, like, spectral analysis of planets. I guess I don't know how much they're able, like, how high the resolution is, but from my understanding, it's like they can look at spectral analysis of planets and kind of understand the chemical breakdown.
Yeah, and then understand if life is possible.
And then see, like, I guess on Earth, right, we see heightened levels of this element here because of...
Okay, but hold on, because that's just comparing it to humans.
Mm-hmm.
We're so... not closed-minded, but we're just narrowing that research down to people that are like us, or like mammals, and we're all part of the same family anyways.
Right.
But so imagine you're on a completely different planet, and I don't know, the oxygen levels are through the roof, and then the nitrogen levels are like all the way down.
Right.
And you're like, well, human life can't happen. But maybe under that circumstance.
But like you look at chemistry, right?
Other human life can work.
But like look at like OChem, right? It's like all about carbon.
True.
Right? And a lot of water. So that's why they always look for water, because it's such a catalyst for everything.
Yeah.
And, you know what? One point I heard, I think like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about with water, is that it's because it's like ice is less dense than water, it allows like fish to live in lakes. Because if ice were more dense than water, like how basically every other material is, I'd say you're like in Canada and you're in a lake, right? Swimming around, your little fish in the lake, and it starts freezing.
Oh, so the ice just the ice on top
would form on top, but then it would start sinking, right? Like I guess the ice would start sinking, and then the whole body of water would just freeze over, and all the fish just die. You'd slowly get crept up to the top, but instead just the top layer freezes and it stays on top, insulated, and you're able to have like lakes underwater. It's like,
you gotta wonder, like, if there is a God, if there is a higher power, or if there's not. The person, the mechanism, whoever, goddamn genius.
I mean, what do you think is scarier, for there to be God or not to be God? I guess maybe scary isn't the right word, but it's what does it mean for there to be one? And then what does it mean if there isn't one, right?
Yeah, I'm an avid thinker that there isn't one, but yeah, it's not that scary.
Have you seen that Rick and Morty episode? It's like the Miniverse episode.
I haven't watched a single episode of Rick and Morty.
So
cultural difference right there.
So there's this episode where like Rick, who's like this super genius kind of guy,
he
creates a universe.
Is he the small guy or the scientist?
He's a scientist.
Yeah,
he creates a universe. Like creates a full-on universe.
Very smart.
Goes into the universe and like convinces the people that they need to like step on things to like generate electricity to like keep their universe running. But in reality, like he created this universe as like a battery for his car.
Wait, that's kind of smart.
And then like
they're just generating.
Yeah. And then it gets to a point where one of the scientists in the universe, and he creates a full universe in there, right? In that universe, creates his own universe to like generate power and stuff. And it's just kind of like the meme. So it's like it's like the mini-verse, and then it's like the teeny-verse, and just
the itty-bitty-verse.
Yeah, they just make it jokes, right? But it's like if there is a creator for our world, like are they just is it kind of like a god that is really like seeking out for our well-being, or is it like, do they have some external purpose? Like, is it like, are we just a battery for our microwave kind of thing? But then it's like, then like, what does it mean to have meaning in our lives? Like, whether or not there is one or there isn't one. I guess that's why I've leaned more towards, like, I think, like, there is no inherent meaning to life, but we get to, like, create our own, you know? Like, I do the things that I want to do because they mean something to me, and I place value on them. So I get to, you know, I guess live my life with meaning because this is what I want to do. That's like the frame of reference.
You know what? That, I think, is probably one of the most healthiest mindsets someone can ever have. You know, to just do this for yourself.
Yeah.
That is so healthy, and that's why you're always a happy guy. That's my outlook on.
You know what? I would say I'm not always a happy guy. It's definitely with a good amount of effort.
Well, then you can't always be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a ball of joy every time. You know, I'm a grumpy cat when the weather's not doing good.
Yeah,
no,
when it's raining.
When it's raining, I hate when it rains. But it doesn't rain a lot here.
Isn't it so funny that last year classes were canceled because it was going to rain?
Because of the flash.
Because it was going to rain and there was zero rain on campus.
People were panicking. They were like, "Oh my God, we're going to be flooded. I'm not going to be able to go here and there." Nothing.
There was nothing.
Nothing.
I remember just seeing a branch on the bike path. I was like, the horror.
Oh my God, guys, heavy winds, heavy winds.
Yeah.
No, but I have to say, I was coming back from a volleyball tournament because they canceled the Monday classes. And I came back from a tournament that weekend, so Sunday night, and coming to campus, horrible rains. The 101, it kind of like goes like this, and so when you're at that point, that lower point, it was just covered with water, and the car did not slide, thank God. But I was holding onto those seats right there.
It was like, oh my God. It's super funny. We were in the lounge, and they were like, there was $80 million worth of damage in Montecito. And my first thought,
really?
Yeah, and my first thought was like, oh no, they took one house. Like, it's gone. No.
Oh, yeah, because Montecito is so much money.
The horror about these flash floods, man. Like, one house was lost in a landslide.
Goddamn, maybe two.
Oh.
Damn. You know, okay, Montecito, it's pretty funny. Because in Montecito, do you know who lives there?
Harry, Oprah.
Yeah, there you go. So many people. But, like, so, ex-Prince Harry, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
And Meghan Markle. And my brother is obsessed with Meghan Markle. Like, loves Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
And I had my family come here to California for this, like, past winter break. And we went on a hike. And every time you go on a hike, like the hot springs, you have to go through, like, Montecito.
Right.
And I'm telling my brother, I'm like, hey, like, you know, Meghan and Harry live here. And he's like, holy shit. And so then it just became a whole thing of, like, oh, do you think they live there? Oh, do you think they live there?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like, let's calm down. And then he's like, no. Like, I'm going to get a dinner invite, and I'm going to see her. And I'm like, okay, whoa.
Yeah.
But this man, for like 25 minutes, was just obsessed with the fact that Meghan Markle lived in Montecito. And I'm like, sure, man, do your thing.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Did you guys run into her?
I want to say yes, but we didn't.
Oh.
Ugh, I know.
Shitty story.
I heard she... You know what? I'm not going to say that. But I have to say, I love driving through Montecito.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to look for the house, and the gate is too big, and you can't see the house, and you're like, shoot.
Yeah.
You got a lot of money, okay?
And I guess the richer the house, the less you can see, right? There's all these bushes everywhere.
Exactly. And if you can't see the house, you know they mean business.
And it's always great when they have like a transparent gate and you're like able to like peek through and you're like, oh. Yeah, like literally like jaw dropped. You see that some of them are mini castles. You're not really used to seeing houses too much, are you?
So I live in a house back home.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm not used to seeing American size houses.
Or like wealthy people living in homes, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone would like live in the city centers.
Everybody lives in the city center. I mean, Paris is very wealthy.
Right.
In a lot of the areas, but I mean it's apartment style, so you don't really see it. But American houses are just huge.
Yeah, those mega mansions.
Just mega mansions. But I think even your typical suburban house. I mean, okay, you may be in the like middle class. Let's say like straight up middle class.
Yeah, homes have been getting significantly bigger.
Yeah, they're just big, and I mean the U.S. like they have big roads, big cars.
Have you seen the houses in like Texas?
No.
Do they have houses in Texas that are like $400,000, $500,000, or they're just like
Just massive. Exactly, for 400, and I'm like, this goes for like 2 million back home.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so I'm just, it's funny, I have people's locations on my phone, and I was stalking my friends over winter break.
Yeah.
And I was zooming on their locations.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, you have a huge house, because like the aerial view is like you can see like there's this room and there's this room and there's this room and there's this room.
Have you gone on Google Earth or like Zillow?
Yeah. And then so I look at the house and then I'm like, wait, I can look on the Zillow. And so then you type it on Zillow and you're like, oh my god, that's so many square feet and stuff like that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm curious to see what my house looks like back home. And I don't have a small house. Like I have a good house. We did an extension, like it's very decent. It's for 5 people. And I looked on Google Maps, it's a square. Literally, my house is a square. But you have the houses here and they just like they're like sprawled. But that's also like you guys build wide and not high.
You know, but I do think that's a California and like LA thing.
It's so because California's huge, and so like when people settled here, they were like, we're gonna use a lot of space because like that's my terrain. And so you just expand. Urban expansion.
Like cars. Isn't it fascinating how big LA is?
It's huge.
Like it makes no sense.
You know, I shout out to everybody who lives in LA, but I could never, because if you don't have a car, you can't go anywhere. If you do have a car, you're gonna be stuck in traffic, so you're not going anywhere. Like, why would you live in LA? But now that
I just think it's really nice.
I mean, there's some. I like the Venice area a lot.
Oh, I'm a big Pasadena guy.
Oh, Pasadena. Yeah. Well, grandparents live up in Pasadena. Shout out. But yeah, no. Not having a car here sucks.
Yeah.
But like friends have cars, so I guess that works out. Mm-hmm. But it is very constraining. Like, I'm stuck in Santa Barbara technically.
We're kind of in our own little enclave. Like even me, as like with the car, I still feel stuck here.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's because you're kind of outside. You know, you're close to LA, but you're not really.
We're an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
A lot of gas, time, you know, especially with like classes and stuff.
But it's funny because an hour and a half drive, from like my understanding of California, is like relatively good in terms of like if you go up to Sacramento, that's like 6 hours.
Yeah, I mean, but it's still an hour and a half, you know.
Oh, I mean, it's still a huge chunk of your time.
I mean, you're what, hour and a half, and you're in Lyon, maybe.
Me?
From Paris.
No.
In bullet train.
Oh yeah, in like TGV, I'd say maybe an hour and a half. Could stretch it to 2.
Yeah.
Car wise, I'd like give it like 3 hours and a half.
Right. But it's, I don't know, I just feel like here it's like, hour and a half and I'm barely back in like LA. I'm like, oh.
True. Yeah, just everything's so big.
Yeah. Because I just feel like Santa Barbara, it's like nice having a car, but there's like one road.
Yeah, everybody takes that one same road and it's always got traffic on it.
The one street, I'm like, bro, I'm tired of seeing the one street of Santa Barbara.
Yeah. When I get sick of it in Isla Vista, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go on DP and I'm gonna go to class through DP because you know like you do DP Sabado and I always take Pasado because it's just like the straightest way I can go to campus. Like I'm sick of seeing the same cars because what I do is I look at the license plates. I'm sick of seeing that Oregon license plate and then I'm just I need to switch it up.
That's funny.
Yeah, but you can't really do that in Santa Barbara because they got that like one street, and that's why I love Europe. Just take a train and just go anywhere else and huge cultural shock.
Yeah.
Like different architecture, anything, like different food, different language, which is kind of crazy.
You know what though? I really appreciate that like there are people here who are from New York, complete opposite side of the country.
Yeah.
We speak the exact same way.
True.
We can perfectly understand each other.
Well, there's a slight accent. Yeah, I'm kidding.
No, there isn't. I feel like I can. I mean, can you tell?
Well, you know, the people who say, instead of saying why, they say why. I find it pretty funny. You've never heard that?
I thought that was more of an idiosyncratic thing than like an accent thing.
Oh, I don't know.
But like Harry, right? Like
Yeah.
Harry's from the Midwest.
Is he? I did not know that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Him and I would be talking conversation. You'd think we grew up next to each other.
Yeah.
And he grew up like north of Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, now I do get it because when I found myself stuck in Slovenia doing this because my bus never came, so I hitchhiked for the first, I hitchhiked for the first time in a foreign country. And this guy's like, whatever, in Slovenia. I'm like, what? And he says it again.
Mm.
And my friend and I are just showing him the city we want to go to. And we're like, Ljubljana, Ljubljana. And then he's like, he mumbles something else. And then he says at the end of his sentence, Ljubljana. And we're like, yes, yes! And then we just hop on the car. And for 30 minutes, Eddie, I kid you not, 30 minutes, we were just in the back. Because language barrier. And we were like, and so he didn't say anything. And then we didn't say anything. And my friend then pulled out Google Translate because we had like 3%. And then she wrote, thank you very much. And then translated it for him.
Yeah.
And then showed him the phone when he like dropped us off. And he was like, and then we just left. And I was like, what?
You probably translated to a language they didn't even understand.
At this point, like, it might have been some goddamn gibberish and we don't know.
That's so funny.
And so, yeah, language barriers, like, they do hurt.
Where'd you stay in Ljubljana?
We stayed at this hostel, like, it was kind of weird because the hostel was located in Ljubljana, but in like the little suburban area, so like more like houses style, and it looked a little too much like my city, and I was like, wait, why am I back in France right now? But Ljubljana is so small.
Yeah, it is.
So small.
When'd you go?
We went with my like 3 other friends this past summer, and
you should have texted me. I could have hooked you up with some spots.
Wait, when did you go to Ljubljana? Like Ljubljana?
January of 2 years ago. So 2 years ago. Yeah.
What were you, do you have class in January?
I took a gap year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We stayed in like an old jail. It used to be an old jail and they converted it to a hostel. And it's like right next to the train station.
Wait, how much did you pay for it?
Like, I think it was like €7 a night with breakfast. It was sick.
Bro, I paid $30. Like, what? I got cheated.
We,
I would have slept in the prison. Just for the experience one night, though.
It was really sick. There was like a whole bunch of like German and a couple Dutch people there. And we like went around and like had fun.
That's crazy. That's so fun.
Have you gone traveling by yourself?
No, but that's something I want to do.
Yeah.
And you're going to call me crazy for it?
No.
But I want to hitchhike it.
Not crazier than what I've done.
What's crazier than that?
Motorcycling around.
Oh, wow.
I almost died. You know, did I ever tell you that?
Like, oh my, you know?
Like the week before school started, I was motorcycling through Thailand.
Freshman year?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Like 2 days before school started.
And did you like slide? Did you get like...
I did a little bit, but that's not where I almost died.
Oh, okay, never mind, sorry. So I nearly died 4 times, but there was actually just one time that was really close.
Yeah, so here I was going like 100 miles an hour.
That's on you.
Yeah, but I ended up slowing down eventually, and I'm going like 5, and my chain unlinks on my bike. And like the whole bike just stops, and like almost like falls over, but because I was going so slow, I was able to like power it up.
Oh, good.
But then I was like, if this had happened
when you were
5 minutes before, or like the rest of the time.
Because if the chain comes off, it stops?
Well, and the way that it came off too, it got stuck, so it created like a lot of friction.
Yeah.
And
oh my god, Eddie.
This was 2 days before school.
That is scary.
This like 2 days before freshman year.
Oh my god, I would have never met you. We would have never been doing this podcast.
I know, right?
Crazy.
Worth it.
Yeah. I think I remember telling someone about this idea of I was just gonna hitchhike.
Yeah.
And I was gonna do it alone. And that person was like, oh, I remember I hitchhiked. Oh yeah, it was this random guy from Australia that I had met in Rome. Crazy coincidence. Anyways. And he was, I can't remember what country it was. Anyways, one of the more eastern countries in Europe. And he was just, he hitchhiked for a week. It was a whole week. And at one point he gets into a car and he's sitting there. And the guy that's driving starts like engaging conversation, cool conversation. But after 5 minutes, like the vibes were kind of weird. And I was like, why were the vibes weird? Because the guy was starting to talk about like the mafia. And he was like, yeah, my dad's in the mafia, and then and he does this with these guys, and then like this other day, like this guy came in and he had a whole bag of coke. And so that friend that I just met in Rome was literally like clenching his seat. I was like, okay, like, hopefully you're not in the mafia type stuff. And so he had told me that, and I was like, oh, wait. maybe I should reconsider, like,
No, you shouldn't do it.
but, like...
But that's such a cool story.
It's such a cool story.
So where would you want to hitchhike, though?
Okay. South of France.
Mm.
First of all, because...
Tame.
Yeah. I speak the language.
Yeah.
And, surprisingly, I don't know the South of France as much as I want to. Because, I mean, I had the chance of being international.
Yeah.
And so when my parents had the chance, they were like, let's go to the U.S., let's go to England, let's go to Germany. Craziest destination I've been to? New Zealand.
Never been to Nice?
So, no, I have been, you know. Yeah. But it's like, every time we had a holiday, we never went to the typical French, oh, I'm going to go down south, hit the beaches in Montpellier, and then that'll be my holiday. No, like, we would literally take a flight and go.
The horror.
God knows. Wow. Like, oh, it's horrible, you know?
I know.
Like, I'd never... But so... I guess I loved it. I mean, every trip was amazing. But the downside was I was like, oh, I feel like I don't love France as much as I do. So if I did it, and I hitchhike it, like... Did you start in Monaco, end up in Barcelona? Wait, I should.
Go to Ibiza.
That sounds like... Well, yeah, that could be fun, actually. I don't know. I have so many things, and then, like, worst case scenario, I'll just, like, hitchhike in Italy, because...
Or you can just buy a train ticket, like...
Yeah, I can just figure it out. But I've... So, yeah, I think I told you this, but I've now traveled 2 summers in a row in Europe. And I feel like I've done all the cities. Which I haven't, of course. But I did all the big ones. I mean, Germany, I know. I went to, like, Copenhagen. I went to Stockholm. And then I went, like, into Rome. And the second trip, I went a little farther. Went to Prague, Budapest.
Yeah. Which place is overrated in Europe and which place is underrated in Europe?
Okay. Overrated, in my opinion, is just Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
German people are, like, kind of cool. No hate to the Germans, but...
You know, I feel like the Germans are pretty, like, I feel like German people, other than the Brits, have, like, been, like, the most American to me.
How so?
I don't know, just
the most American?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know, I just felt like they were, like, the most similar culturally.
Oh, like, so, do you think you could connect
people?
better with German people than any...
Yeah, they spoke English pretty well, too.
They're good.
The Dutch are pretty up there as well.
I don't know, just, like, Berlin.
Well, Berlin feels like an American city, in some sense.
Oh, wow.
Well, like, think of, like, the roads, right? It's not as walkable as, like, other cities. Because everything in Germany...
Well, then that's also due to, like, the Soviets.
Right, but it was also destroyed in World War II, so they, like, rebuilt it up with the car in mind. So, like, to me,
making it wider. Oh, I see. That's a cool comparison.
Yeah, same thing with, like, Krakow.
Yeah. No, yeah, German people are fun. They're kind of cool. I think they just... I just don't fuck with them. Like, they have...
Don't start another war here.
And then the Nordic countries, I'm in love with Copenhagen. Like,
oh, I think it's overrated.
I just find it beautiful. But then
I disagree.
It's so pretty. Wait, hold on. You can bike everywhere. You know that there's like that little.
Okay, but like you can bike everywhere here. And like look at the difference. Barbara. Yeah, it's miserable there. It just constantly rains and everything's gray and dark.
No, well, you did not go when it was sunny, okay?
Yeah, well, the 2 days in the summer, like right now it's like winter in Santa Barbara and it feels like summer.
Yeah, I mean that's just a
think about it.
That's just a SoCal thing.
Yeah, but our worst days here are like Copenhagen.
Yeah, like the best days. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know. I went there. We went. We actually went swimming in like the water that like passes through Copenhagen because like there's this area where there's like they turned it literally into a pool, but the water's still rushing in. Anyways, that was pretty cool. But I could see why it's overrated.
Yeah.
I think all the underground cities, like Ljubljana, is really cool. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't put it like top tier.
No, it's definitely not.
Because it's so small.
That one bar.
I toured the city in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then I had like 6 hours before my train. And so like by hour 3 I had redone we rewalked the whole thing. And I just slept on a bench for like 2 hours because I was like, there's nothing to do.
Have you been to Budapest?
I have been to Budapest. I like Budapest.
That's great. Madrid? I've yet to go.
I don't think where you're going.
Yeah.
Spring break.
Yeah.
Madrid. No, I weirdly have not gone to Spain a lot.
Rome?
I love Rome.
Rome.
But I'm like Eddie, like I'm tight like that with Rome.
I like Rome. Paris, in my opinion, a little underrated. Because I think it was so overrated for so long that now it's so hated. They're saying, people say like, like the Paris syndrome is like, oh, you go to Paris and it wasn't as magnificent as you like once thought. And, like people, like the kind of thing, and like a lot of people really started hating on it in like the internet age, and be like, oh, Paris isn't all that. It's all that. In my opinion.
Really?
Like, the architectural style is amazing. The bakeries are amazing. The parks, like I feel like the culture in Paris is really great. Like everyone's always at the parks, and it's really nice, especially on a sunny day, and you really get that. And like I feel like Paris is one of the few cities that wherever you walk around, like around every corner, especially like the city center, and I don't know the district numbers, but like there's always like a new magnificent site around the corner and something.
Yeah.
And I feel like you don't really get that too often in other cities.
Yeah, first of all, it makes me really happy you say that. Because every time I say to someone, like, oh, yeah, I'm from, like, Paris area-ish, and they're like, oh, I went to Paris 2 years ago. I didn't like it as much.
I think people just hate on it because they like to hate on things,
And they also like to hate on the French. Apparently, we're easy targets. And people hate the French. Yeah, there you go. I see you. I mean, and you know what? There is a lot of hate. There is a lot to hate in the French.
Yeah. Do you like the accent, like the French accent?
When you speak English or when you speak French?
English. Well, I imagine the French accent when you speak French makes it sound clear, right?
Yeah. So, like, if I were to start talking to you with a French accent in English, like this-ish, kind of.
You've been here too long. It's
still kind of English.
Speaking in a little bit. I can hear it, but because I know it's kind of shit on.
It's not good.
I like it.
Like, here's the thing. I tell people when like, oh, I don't hear an accent coming from you, and then I look at them and I'm like, trust, babe, if you heard an accent, after 2 hours you would be done speaking to me. Because so I think it would get on people's nerves to hear like a constant accent. Especially the French accent.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just don't think I'd have as many friends if I had a French accent. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. I don't particularly care for it.
No, fair enough.
But talking about accents, I love the British accent. And I keep telling exactly. That's the reaction I get every single time. Everybody back home.
I don't love it.
I love it.
I just can't imagine.
I love it. It's like back home, everybody loves the British accent. Everybody's like British accent over American accent. And then I got to California, America, everything. And I was like, oh, I love the British accent over the American accent. And I haven't had a single person tell me, oh yeah, I agree. No, they've all told me like, oh, I definitely prefer the American accent.
Yeah, I feel like the American accent to me is like very clear.
It's super clear.
And I feel like it's really idiosyncratic. People here, like, I feel like people's voices are very, very different in the American accent. Like, it really allows like the personal voice to shine.
Yeah. True. I agree with that.
In my opinion, I think there's something about that. I think a lot of people like their American accent like kind of it's audible, which is nice, but it doesn't like sound as elegant. But then you meet some people with really nice voices in the American accent, and you're like, what? And I think that's very true about like general Americanism stuff. A lot of people's like, okay, whatever. But I feel like with the American system, it allows certain people to like really be like super cool and amazing, and you're just like, oh, this could only really be allowed here,
Because of the accent.
Well, not just the accent, but just like general culture and like vibe of people, Like I remember like being in Europe and like people would talk about like, oh, women from this country, women from this country, right? And I was like,
well, then I think this is huge.
Right, and I was like, American women, like the top tier, like American women are like some of the coolest girls in the world that you'll ever meet.
Wow. That's. I don't have anything to counter that, but I would kind of disagree with that because, like, I think you can find it, top tier women anyway.
Sure. Maybe not friends.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about the British accent that's like, I like the poshness.
Yeah, but there's different British accents, right?
Yeah, it's like you got the one from like, kind of from the little shady areas, and you listen to it and you're like, holy cow, what are you even telling me?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the funniest, the Scottish accent.
Oh
my god, I
feel like it's charming, though.
It's so hard. Like sometimes I literally,
jolly.
I listen. I sometimes I don't even. I'm like, do I speak English? Like, because they're speaking English, which is with a Scottish accent.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe not even.
Yeah.
And I'm just, are you speaking English? I can't understand them.
Yeah.
And I turn on the subtitles, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're saying.
No, it is interesting. I think that's actually one reason why English has become so popular, though, is because we don't really have dialects that are kind of unintelligible, right? Like, I can understand someone from New York, I can understand someone from the UK.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple language.
Maybe not simple, but like...
I mean, it is.
Like, it's hard to learn, but from a non-English perspective, yeah. It's considered, like, pretty difficult to learn.
I mean, I think it's pretty simple. I mean, this is comparing to French, but then, like, I've also, like, learned German, and, like, I started, like, I did a little bit of Mandarin. But, like, French is terrible when it comes to conjugation. Even I still don't know all my past tense and all that jazz. Like, there's just so many. There's so many. I think there's, like, 27 or something, like, different tenses.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do we need so many? I don't know. Spelling's horrendous. And then when it comes to grammar is just... Because what French does, what German does, is you have feminine and masculine.
Oh,
German also has neutral, which then is a whole nother layer.
Sure.
But so, like, in terms of writing it, it's terrible. And then the words change in terms of if it's like a woman or a guy, and then it sounds different between, like, because, like, if it's a woman, sometimes you add an E at the end. And so you don't have any of that in English.
No.
You know? And so it's pretty simple. It's like, I am, you are, like, he is, I don't know, like, stuff, you know, just, like, the basic conjugation. And because in French, it's I am, you are, he is, she is. I mean, I guess you do have that in English. Like...
Yeah, but those are just, like, pronouns, as opposed to, like, the nouns themselves.
The nouns themselves completely change in, like, French and German. And Spanish, too.
Right, yeah.
You know? But in English, it doesn't have... English has some weird, funky words. Like, why is through written through? Like, as through is, like, why is it THROUGH?
There is... I don't know if it's exactly with this word, but in England, there is the great vowel shift that happened in, like, the 1100s.
Vowel? Like
vowel shift.
Okay,
you know, like, every other language use A, E, O, U?
Those are literally the French vowels. Yeah.
Yeah, right. English, we do A, E, I, O, U. In England, there was like a time where they went through this, it's called the Great Vowel Shift, and that's why, like, the English vowels are so different than every other language.
No way. I have never heard about that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm a nerd. Yeah. Also, I guess tying back to a bit of, like, the Americanism stuff, and I guess it's a little English stuff, it's like, when you hear other languages, like, they just sound very beautiful and elegant. I feel like English doesn't really have that in the day-to-day speak.
Yeah.
It's a little very professional and, like, academic in that sense. But you know what? When you read really, really great English writing...
Are you talking, like, Shakespeare?
Like Shakespearean stuff, Steinbeck, it just... You know, when you just read someone who's a really great writer, I feel like it has an extra wow factor because it's just that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably because the language, in my opinion, is simpler. But so if you have then something so beautiful coming out of something so simple, you're like, wait, whoa, it does have that quality. It can be this beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe what you're
alluding
to.
Yeah.
But okay, this is a crazy language fun fact about German. I was in my philosophy class. I love that class, by the way. This is the second time I'm mentioning philosophy.
Sure.
We were talking about how languages affect your capacity to think, because your depending on the language, you have a certain array of words that exist in this language, but that don't exist in this language. So, for instance, the word cozy. You know, you're like cozy in bed. There is no single equivalent in French to say cozy. There just isn't. And then I can't think of something in French, but like same thing.
Yeah.
German, on the other hand, has this, because you're just adding words. You take one word, you take another, you put it together, and it makes a third word.
Sure.
And so German is literally built on this concept of you have your, like, little basic words, and you got thousands, millions of them. But on top of those million words, which is like the same amount of words you have in French, they can create more, which is why most of the more not like modern, but like I 15th century onward, most of the philosophers
Yeah, a lot of
were German.
Yeah.
Because of the language,
You
they
know
were
what?
allowed to think more
Yeah.
and like develop their ideas more than like any French philosopher. And
I mean, Germany's generally been pretty wealthy, which helps.
yeah, I mean
and
that
has a
helps
large
with
population.
like education
Large
as well.
population. But you know what? To kind of interject, just meeting a lot of people who live in different countries, a lot of different languages, native tongue, and were decently proficient in English. One common theme that I've always heard is I said, a lot of my international friends say, I really love English. I feel like I can express my emotions better in English than I can in my own language. I think part of that's like the history of English in and of itself and the dominance of both the United Kingdom and the United States of America in global culture and then now academia, and then influence from French and German in language, because it really allowed English to like complexify.
Yeah, for sure.
Vocabulary, you know, we took all the great French words, and so you have like vocabulary there. Little wink. And like, I think, you know, English's history with like poetry and it being tied to academia through like Oxford, Cambridge, and then later the American universities, it's like allowed it to like complexify there. So I don't know. It was a very common thing. People always said like, I love English because I feel like I can express myself really, really well, better than in my own tongue. And you know, this is German, Dutch, French kind of things.
Yeah.
And even from people that didn't speak English like super well, like I love it.
You were talking about how English related to academia.
Yeah.
And like, it's become more complex. I think it's also because I'm going back to this idea that English for me is on the simpler side because it's so simple. It's easier to just say things. Now, you mesh that with the complexity of the words.
Maybe it's like straightforward as opposed to simple, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like thinking like this research paper is not a simple read. You know, like, oh goodness. The restoration of bone defects and osteoporosis are two significant challenges in bone repair activities that require the reliability of implant material.
Nice.
And it's not simple.
It's not simple.
Right. I think it allows it to be simple, but it also allows it to be complex.
I think it's so that idea of like it's straightforward, and then you bring those like the complexity of some vocabulary words.
The elegance of French and Spanish in there.
Put that together, and that's why maybe it's simpler to like express your.
And it's not as mean as like German.
It's not as harsh.
Yeah.
Like, Schmetterling. Do you have that reference?
No.
There's this, this was my whole childhood. There's this video on YouTube, you might know what I'm talking about, where it's this guy who says a word in French.
Sure.
And then he says it in English. And then he says it in Spanish. And he says it in Italian.
Yeah.
And then he finally says it in German.
Yeah.
And it is not even remotely the same.
Like hospital?
It's, like hospital.
Hospital. Hospital.
Hospital. Hôpital in French. And then in German it's like this
Krankenhaus.
There you go, that's what I'm talking. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes! And it's like, Schmetterling is the one, it's like, you say in French it's papillon, in English it's butterfly, I don't know how to say it in Spanish.
Yeah.
And then
Mariposa.
Mariposa. It's beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
And perfect for the elegant animal that
Mariposa, papillon, like butterfly, like and then Schmetterling. And I'm like, guys, how did you,
And I guess philosophy, thought, difference. Do you think there's a significant difference in like the amount of girls that get butterfly tattoos from American, French, and Spanish speakers
totally.
versus German ones?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get a Schmetterling. God, no. Wait, that's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Come to think of it. Oh, I mean, I don't know if it really plays out, but it would be funny if it did.
Yeah.
Totally. Languages are crazy, come to think of it.
Yeah. Do you think it's better? I guess in my opinion, I feel like we're going to move towards a world where everybody just kind of speaks English, especially with the internet age.
Okay, but
do you think it's better to have a world where everyone has all these gorgeous languages, or to have a world where everybody just speaks English?
I mean, I think for communication, we are going towards a world that it's already hella connected, but it's going to be even more connected, with like third world countries and stuff. Right. And you're going to need, because it's so connected, you're going to need a language that's going to be able to connect everybody. Yeah. So English, here's the thing, I don't know. I feel like it would be English because it's more widespread.
It is English. Everywhere.
Yeah. But then if you count the number of people that speak English, and then like the people, like there's so many people who speak Chinese.
But it's only in China.
But that's the thing. It's only in China.
And even in China, a lot of them speak English. Well, the numbers, they look at like native, like first language speakers, not just second language proficiency.
No, totally.
And you have to adjust for age. All the young people who like our generation,
they're speaking
who
English.
grew up on the internet, they're all speaking English.
Yeah.
Even in like Latin America.
So it's gonna be English.
It is English.
I mean, yeah. So it's gonna be English, but. If you speak fluent Spanish?
Not fluent, I can understand it. Okay, but it's like if I were to speak to someone in Spanish, like you wouldn't really be able to tell, like there's a difference, but then that person can instantly tell.
Instantly know, yeah. Like I would never surrender my French. Because it's not what you're asking.
And biased, right? Because it's like English is a dominant dominant religion. The dominant language. It is the dominant language of the world, but that's my native tongue. Like that's what I speak in. That's what I think in. Like that's what I'm proficient in, right? And like I guess I was very fortunate because like Spanish was my first language, but then going to school here, I ended up like
you don't lose it,
yeah. And it's like. So I'm biased. I'm like, okay, to me, it's like, yeah, everybody should just speak English,
just do it.
Like who cares about these other languages? Like, let's just all understand each other. That's cool. But then it's like, you speak other languages,
I think it'd be a shame. Imagine, it'd be a shame losing all those languages.
No!
It would! Like, a language is so...
I guess I'm evil, but...
Yeah, you are evil. It's so central to someone's country. It is literally what defines a country.
You know what, though? One thing I really like, this very American, Southern Californian perspective.
Okay.
One thing I dislike about Europe is, and like the rest of the world, is all these ethno-states, right? We are our own country because we speak our own language. Mm-hmm. We are our own people. You are other, this German's other, this Belgian, they speak a different French. They speak a little bit of Dutch, they are an other. I really like that America doesn't have this like ethno-state. Like I'm really against America adopting English as an official language, like as like official language, because I like that we aren't defined
by the language.
By language, like we have a common American culture, but we're not defined by an ethnic group. We're not defined by language. We are just a people who want to follow the same set of like values and I guess like the American dream, all that kind of Americana stuff. And I think that's really cool because it was weird going to Poland. I mean, this one guy was like, "Oh, where are you from?" This random guy from, I don't even remember what country. Where are you from? Where are you from? Oh, my people don't like your people. Like, let's fight.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Patriotism.
And how much conflict has this world gone through just because it's like, you speak a different language, we want to take stuff...
Yeah, it is really dividing.
And I like that in America, it just doesn't matter, right? And, like, I think college has been a little bit more ethnically distant, but it's not as bad here as it is at other schools. But I think it's really amazing that it's like I don't care what a person looks like. Like I talk to them and they just, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't register to me that they're of a different ethnic background, that they aren't Hispanic, right, or Mexican. Like it just,
just who you are.
Yeah, it's just Caleb.
There is that aspect. Never thought about that actually, because when we French people were like. Oh, you're from Belgium? Like...
Right, or even just
funny.
like, oh, you're from... I guess in America we have like, oh, you're from like this place, like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, like you're from this part of France, like you say, what, chocolatine instead of pain chocolat.
Oh my god.
Right?
Whole debate.
And it's like a whole war. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
How many genocides have happened in Europe over these simple words, Because you say chocolatine instead of pain chocolat.
Pain chocolat.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I apologize for my bad pronunciation.
Yeah, so it was chocolatine, okay. Not chocolatine. Pain au chocolat. No, it's pain au chocolat. There you go.
I'm going to get a whole country of
Did you see the video of Tom Holland saying croissant?
No.
He says quaxon. I swear to God.
Well, that's the Brits for you.
Yeah, literally. Look it up. Quaxon. And an interview...
Also, why do people hate on Americans for that? Like expecting you to like go to McDonald's of all places and be like, oh, hi, my name is Eddie and I'd really like a croissant, it's like...
Wait, hold on, what? In a McDonald's?
You know how people say like, oh, you pronounce this totally wrong, like you gotta say escargot, kind of thing? Like in an accent kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I do that to anybody, but if you're American,
you don't
German,
expect you to be like talking in like France, like and all this French like accent and McDonald's. You know, you say like how
McDonald's.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or all these American words or English, but like Americanized words, right? Like you still say them with your accent, and that's perfectly okay. But God forbid I say a foreign word in an American accent. You know. But you know what? You know what does rub me the wrong way? The coffee shop kahe.
Yeah.
Kahe, right? Everyone knows it's kahe.
Kaje. Let's go to Kaje.
Let's go to Kaje.
Yeah.
Kaje. And it's just like, why? Like, everyone knows.
Hey, well, you can. I didn't know.
They grew up in Southern California. Like, they know it's Kaje, right?
Yeah. But you can start telling them.
Oh, they know.
Oh.
They know, but they call it Kaje.
Kaje.
Because they want it.
Because it's a trend.
Yeah.
It's kind of a trend.
But that's just like, really? Like, you can say Kaje in an American accent, right? But like, the purposeful butchering, I'm like, bro, really?
Yeah, the purposeful, because, like, you guys don't purposefully butcher, like, French words. You generally just say it how, like, you think it is.
Right.
And then we just, like, oh, actually, it's, I don't know why we do it, actually. Genuinely, no idea.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just like to hate on Americans.
I mean, if any nation they're just easy targets. Every nation has their stereotypes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple nations that it's like, bro, like, why are you hating on them? You know, imagine if I just became like #1 Angola hater, and it's just like,
let's go at it. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, it's just like,
let's bring those facts. Okay, I'm gonna be #1 Romania hater.
Oh yeah.
Do you know Romania actually like if you outline the country, it kind of looks like a fish. Super random, but now you know.
Don't you guys call France like the hexagon?
I call it the starfish, but the hexagon works too.
I thought it was like someone called like something like in French like the hexagon because of what?
Hexagon. I guess you could. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to think of. You got Italy. That's the boot.
The boot.
That one's fun.
That one's.
You know, how does it look like a boot? I don't know, but it works.
What do you mean you don't know?
No, but like it's crazy. Like
I guess it's still like No,
I know it looks like a boot
in nature.
But I'm like, oh my god, isn't that crazy that it looks like a goddamn boot?
Yeah,
that's so fun. Yeah, that was what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess hexagon for France. But I like starfish. So like it's the dumber version. Like the,
is that what they teach in like elementary school and then high school? Like.
Yeah. So that's not right. Like no, please starfish.
Do starfish have 6 sides? Don't they have 5?
Wait, hold on. France has 5. What are you talking about? Wait, hexagon is 6.
Yeah.
Hold on. Whoa. We just had a few. France is like 1, 2, 3. Oh. Pentagon.
I think they call like the border between Spain.
Yeah.
One side, south of France. One side.
Yeah, but so you have Bordeaux. Not Bordeaux. Burgundy.
Uh-huh.
Burgundy. And then you go up, which is where Lille is, touching Brussels. The Belgium. Oh my god, I'm butchering all these names. And then you go down, and you're touching Germany at this point, which is like another. So right now you got.
Oh wait, like so start at the tippity top, right? Because that's undisputed.
Yeah, tippity top.
Right.
And then you go.
Side to Germany.
So you go, and then you go. You have one arm.
To Germany.
Right. Then you go down.
Down.
You have one arm going to.
So that's
touching Switzerland,
down
Italy.
Monaco. Yeah.
Yeah, Monaco. And then you, like that. You're touching Spain.
Right. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, well, and then Spain makes a 4th.
4.
Then you go up. You got Burgundy, which
5.
is your other arm. So you got 5.
Well, I guess it'd go like 5 and then 6.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, you're
6.
counting. Okay, I see. You're counting Spain, like the touching Spain's border, a whole side on itself.
1, and then they go 5 here, 6 there.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
If we go to the map.
Okay, so we're taking the big guns out. You're counting that whole thing as a like.
Yeah, they do like that as like a side.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. I don't even count that as a side actually. Just call it a starfish. It kind of looks. Yeah, I don't know. But it's France is the size of California.
No.
It is. California is just very long.
And you know what? Because it's long too, like going from like San Diego to Crescent City takes forever.
Forever.
You know, I calculated it. It takes just the same amount of time to go from San Diego to, I think it's Crescent City. I think that's the city on the border. I forgot what exactly it's called. The same amount of time it goes to drive from Berlin to Rome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long drive. That's giving me a little perspective. Wow. That's good.
Yeah, and think about it. When you're driving Berlin to Rome, you're going through the Alps, right? You're going through mountain roads. Driving from...
Not necessarily. Yeah. Not necessarily. Because Berlin is more, like, towards the...
I mean, Italy's surrounded by the Alps no matter what.
Are they is Italy completely surrounded by the Alps? I thought it was just on that, like, little edge.
Well, on the top, yeah. I mean, it goes all the way to...
near Tuscany, too? There's mountains near Tuscany?
Well,
you wouldn't be driving through Tuscany.
Yeah. Wow. Well, like, the north. I mean, that's why it has a natural border right there, right? Because, like, when you go over to, like, Turin and the France border, you have the Alps right there.
Yeah.
French Alps, Matterhorn. And then you go up,
True.
and then you have Alps to Switzerland. And then you have Alps to Austria, and then Slovenia right there. You, like,
but at least you just have to cut through the mountain range just, like, straight. You don't have to go, like, actually go through.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never driven there, but you do have to go through, like, Austria or Switzerland.
Yeah, definitely
Alps,
go, through
and then
Austria.
drive through. Versus California, you're on a freeway the entire time where you're going.
It's just straight, flat, very flat. Yeah. I've taken the 101, the 5, and then some other road. Yeah. Everything's flat.
How do you feel about that? Like freeways and stuff? Because, like, I'm a little torn. Like, I do think walkability is nice, but I think there's something cool about, like, having my car right here. It's 3 a.m. and I just want to drive to LA. I can.
True.
There's something...
I can do it in France, too, though. You know? Because if I have a car, I can just, like, drive to Paris. Well, I mean...
You can, yeah.
I could do it.
But a lot of people don't have cars or licenses out there.
Yeah, I guess that's...
But you live a little bit outside the city.
Yeah, well, I don't have a car at home, so I just take my bike and then, you know, rely on public transportation.
Right.
And it does suck when the RERs, which is the train that goes to and from Paris, where I live, stops. Like, the last one is at, like, 1:50, and the first one is at 5:30.
You know what, though? That makes clubbing fun.
It would make clubbing fun.
Because you have to wait. It's always wait for the first bus, for the first train, you know? Like, that was a train.
Ah, shit, it's 4. God damn it.
You gotta wait.
1 more hour. Yeah, what's 1 more hour?
You know, because you have to. And then, but in America, it's like, okay, fine, I guess I'll drive home.
I'll be with drunk driving.
I don't drink, so I'm not making this decision.
That's the sucky part in America. Like, you always have to have that, like, one designated driver. And you kind of feel bad because sometimes alcohol does make the difference when it comes to a party. Walkability. I love that.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I'm happy LA's pushing towards it for the Olympics.
Are they?
Yeah.
What are they doing? How?
They're doing some there's a couple bike lanes, and then
cool.
I think somewhat expanding the non-existent subway system.
Oh, right. I know.
Yeah, in my opinion, I feel like Hollywood area, like, start with Hollywood, clean up the streets because it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And just make it all nice. Add a train stop from there. You know, it's like just start slowly expanding. You
don't got that much time. 4 years is not a lot. Building big projects like that.
Yeah, Paris did some cool projects.
Paris did some cool projects.
Did you go to those games?
I
ran in the marathon.
I wanted to go to a volleyball game so bad. And when I finally got the chance to buy the tickets, I was gonna buy, like, quarterfinals tickets, and they were $200 the spot. But the thing is, like, you had to buy 2, because that's how they sold it. You can't buy an individual seat. You had to buy at least 2. So I'd be paying €400, and, like, at that time I just didn't have the money, and so I never bought it. And so I actually did not go to any Paris, like, 2024 Olympic game events, and I'm so bummed about it. But my sister, like, she was able to find, because, like, some sports are less known, and so she went to, like, badminton and paid $20. Ooh. And then she went to go see judo, which is a little bit, like, more hype, but not that much. Yeah. She paid, like, $50, and she was like, hell yeah, let's go. And
be here in LA when it's coming to LA.
I'll be here in LA. I mean, like, hopefully get a job here, and so I got something. Yeah. But cool fun fact, there was a cycling event, which is it was, like, just short of 300 kilometers. 300 kilometers is a big distance, and it started in Paris. So what they did is they started in Paris, come outside, go through all the little suburbs, like around Paris, and then they go back in Paris and finish in Paris. And so it just so happened that that specific track that they had outlined went through my city. So like we made it a whole thing with my family. It was my mom's birthday too, and so we kind of just we all went and we were sitting on the side of the road, and then we see like the first the motorcycle go by. We're like, holy shit, they're here. And then everybody starts like standing up, and then you just see, and they're going so fast. And you phew, 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 phew. That's it. Those were all like the 96 like cyclists on the team. That's it. But it was so cool.
And it was free.
It was free.
Yeah.
It was literally, it was in my backyard, but it kind of felt like my backyard because I was proud of my city right there. Yeah. And so I guess I saw one event, which was a cycling, but it lasted 20 seconds. Yeah. Because you kind of just see them pass. Yeah. But then that was a really cool event because then we went back home and we watched the full event, and they finished on the Sacré-Cœur. The Sacré-Cœur is the highest point in Paris. So they finished with a hill like that, and you could just see they were all just burnt out. They were just tired. Yeah. But it was amazing, and everybody in the streets, and like they weren't going like the speed of light. They were going at a reasonable speed because they were literally just going up this hello, like not 90 degrees, but like close to 90 degrees. And I remember watching that, and I was like, that is so cool. And then they go around the Sacré-Cœur, and then they go under like around the Arc de Triomphe, and they're going through all these like beautiful places in Paris, and I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of my city.
Is there like a favorite Parisian site that you like?
The Sacré-Cœur. It's mine. It's my favorite, ultimate favorite, because you have the beauty of like the actual, it's not a cathedral, it's a basilica.
Right. It's in like the north of, is it in the north of the city? Kind of like a little bit on the outskirts?
It's a little bit on the outskirts for sure. Like most of what is in Paris is very central. Yeah. And that one you have to take like the metro like farther out. So it's
I don't think I've been there, but I think
it's a slight pain to go to. But it's just itself, the basilica, beautiful. But then you have this beautiful like 360 view on Paris, and you're like, oh my god. And the parks around there are beauty. And then I love the streets around it too. Half of them are very touristy, but they're actually so cute that I don't mind. And then the coffee shops, the cafes, all around, I love just sitting there. And you got this terrific view too, and people are nice, food is good, and I'm like, that is my favorite part in Paris.
I want to go back now. I want to go back now.
Yeah, I just wish that the people who went to Paris and were like, oh, I was disappointed. Yeah. They had gone with somebody who knows Paris.
I went with nobody who knew Paris, and I enjoyed it.
And you enjoyed it, yeah. But then if you imagine you have that person who knows just a little bit more, and that can because that would be perfect. That then brings you into their apartment, their Parisian apartment, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is how I live, and this is that, and
I guess I had a little bit of that. I had a friend who was living in Paris.
Oh, that does help. And then you kind of just every morning you go walk 300 meters to your local bakery, and you kind of just take your stuff and. Oh my god, that's the experience that I wish some people had to understand what Paris feels like.
I just like lounging around in a park.
Oh my god, do you know
beautiful Parisian sun?
If I say the dolce far niente, do you know what that is? It's an Italian term for saying literally the art of doing nothing. I love it.
So un-American.
So un-American. Always working.
I sometimes sit and I need to do something.
But this feels wrong.
But I feel like I like doing a lot of things too.
Yeah, I mean, I like being entertained. I like being doing something, and sometimes I can't even sit still.
I think in college too, because there's always your friends are always hanging out with each other.
It's such a busy world. Yeah. There's always something you can do.
Yeah.
But it's crazy when you finally take the time for yourself. You go to a park and you just sit there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god.
Here it's just the beach. I really like walking on the beach.
Yeah.
Just.
When I was here for a week, everybody went back home, and because in the States this is kind of like home base. Nobody was in IB. Everybody had left, deserted.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I gonna do? And I finally enjoyed Isla Vista, as is, because I never have time here. Yeah. And so I finally went on those long walks that I wanted.
Yeah.
I finally went surfing. I went...
Have you been to Sands Beach?
I love Sands Beach.
It is magnificent.
Beautiful.
It almost makes me upset that the university wasn't built on Sands Beach. So.
No, I'm happy because they were able to preserve Sands Beach. Just beautiful. Like, just, it was perfect.
But imagine if everything were that... Like, imagine if IV and UCSB were flipped.
That would be pretty cool. I like Campus Point, though. It's cute.
Yeah, but it's not like Sands.
It's not like Sands.
If like that
like
point
Sands.
right there and the oil rig is right in front of you,
Mm.
that would have been cool.
Do you know in Sands there's this preservation site for birds?
Yeah.
The snowy plovers.
Yeah.
They are my favorite bird.
Really?
I love them because they're this size. They're minuscule.
Right.
And they have itty bitty legs, and they run to the water because when just like the regular tides or whatever, run into the water because that's where like all their little food comes up. The moment the water leaves, they're I don't even know what they eat, like little mini sand crabs or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They come out, and so that's when they feast. But they don't like getting their feet wet, and so the moment the next wave comes, they just run back, and so it's literally a dance of them moving up and down. And you see them running in their little favorite bird.
Yeah, I saw
fall
one
in
the other
love
day.
with them every time.
I saw one
So
2 days ago,
cute.
and I was like thinking, like, I don't know, I forgot exactly what the thought was, but something like perspective, right? In the sense that it's like these small little waves like really affect their lives because they don't like getting wet. Like they run away from it.
It's probably the biggest wave they've ever seen, you know.
But then I was like, but in some sense, like their life is just as equal as mine. But like I'm more worried about the big waves kind of stuff. And it's like, everything isn't always about magnitude when it comes to like value and stuff. And I think there's something like cool about that.
It's pretty cool, yeah. I think sometimes I like perspective. Like,
dude, I feel like we all do.
All the time.
Dude, I feel like it's my biggest problem.
It's so my biggest problem.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I broke up with Max in in September, and we had just done like 3 months of long distance because I was back home.
Yeah.
And anyways, and it's like all we could do long distance was talk.
Right.
Because we weren't physically together. And that's when I realized like so many things and so many different views and how we were just like going like this, and I had never taken into account the other person's perspective. And then I come back here and I'm aware of this now because like I've had time to reflect on it. And then I realized there are so many perspectives that I don't take into account. I'm in this feminist studies class. This is one of my first like non-STEM related class I'm in, and it's really making me think about like, yeah, I'm a woman, but then I've never like thought about, because everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm a feminist, I'm a woman, but I've never thought about, oh yeah, and what about, for instance, like the women in Gaza, you know, like the women in India. I've never ever thought about that, and I'm like, I lack so much perspective, and I think that has made me not like close-minded, because I'm not, but I think there's so much more that I could develop on, like, and grow as a person. I just don't, because I just don't have the perspective.
Yeah, it's like you don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I realized that the other day, and I was like, my god.
I think for me it kind of happened a bit with like my like life story and stuff. I don't know, I always thought what I went through was normal. And then it really only was like coming to college, like looking back at like the things that I experienced as a kid, and I guess how truly bizarre they were. Because I was talking to everyone, they were like telling me about their like picture perfect lives, and I was like,
oh damn, yeah, we did not have.
Or even just like being like Hispanic in engineering or physics, like people here don't even guess that I'm Mexican. 2 days ago I was talking to this guy. He saw my last name, very, very,
what's your last
Mexican name? Last name, Barajas.
Oh, yeah.
Very Spanish last name, right?
Totally.
Barajas Airport in Madrid. What's my last name?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. He looks at my last name and he goes, oh, are you Jewish? And I was like, wait a minute, what?
Whoa.
Yeah. And then I was like, no. But, because he was in physics. He knew I was like a physics, engineering kind of guy. He was like, oh. I was like, no. I was like, oh, are you like Central Asian? And I was like, no. I was like, oh, are you Arab? No.
Damn, he really went through all the little...
Yeah, he was going through everything, like specific things. Like, oh, are you Turkish? Are you this? Are you this and this? It was like going on for like, I saw like 4 minutes, you know? And then he goes, are you just Mexican? And I was like, but, you know, I feel like as I've come here, people never guess that I'm Mexican. I know I'm a little racially ambiguous, but, like, I can, you know, I tell people I'm Mexican, it's not a shock, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's so few, like, Mexicans in engineering and physics. Like, I'm always, like, basically the only one.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just, like, I just never even gained, like, I didn't even realize it was that different. And then, it's not to call them out, but it's like, I meet a couple, like, Hispanics in these programs, and I talk to them, and it's like, oh, my parents, like, did have an education and stuff, and I was like, oh, so even they grew up different than, like, the average Hispanic and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird sometimes that, like, I talk to people, and I was like, oh, I'm, like, the only person that really, like, grew up the way that I did.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's a little odd.
It's so off-putting.
And it's like, I didn't even know that I had a different perspective to, like, I came here and was just talking to people. And it's like, I got to the point where it's like, I couldn't even talk about my past because it was like, it was just so different that people
No
were
one
like,
could relate.
It was even like no one could relate. It's like you talk about things and like people think like, oh, there has to be something else here, right? Because it's like, some of the things I would mention just seem like so bizarre and different that it just like, it almost sounds like someone's making it up, you know? So like, I remember like I was talking to one of my friends, it's like, maybe you shouldn't explain some things just because it is so different that people just aren't going to understand, like, in a 1 minute, 2 minute conversation, like, really wait for them to know you, and you can explain.
Then you can develop.
You have, like, these things, like, take, like, maybe, like, 20, 30 minutes to really explain. So it's like, you know, you don't want people to think of the wrong things because of just how different it is.
Yeah.
And it's just weird.
I think college is the perfect area, the perfect moment to actually change your perspective.
Yeah.
Because that's when you meet most people.
And people who aren't from where you grew up.
Yeah.
Right? That's the
Especially.
big thing. It's like you grew up, you're around people.
Because you stay in that little, the same high school you've always been, and then it's the same people from middle school and the same people from elementary. I'm like, oh my god.
And socioeconomically, you're roughly similar,
totally.
Right? Your peers.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, you know, you have me, and then just down the hall in the exact same residence hall, living the exact same life, eating the exact same food across the table from each other is like Mo, who's like from Dubai.
Is he?
He's like from
Dubai.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But yet we're living in the same dorms, we're attending the same classes, we're in the same friend group, we're eating the same food, and it's this like grand equalizer.
Yeah.
And that to me is just fascinating.
You know, I think that's what definitely like just rang a bell for me. That's when I realized, wait, it's because of uni that I'm like putting into question this perspective thingy, and that maybe I should like be a little bit more open.
I don't like the term uni. I don't know, it's just wrong.
Oh, uni.
It's too
It's
British.
just uni.
Yeah.
University, college.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because when I say, when I went back home, and I babysat for this girl, sweet, I love her, sweetest girl, and I was talking to her in English because she speaks English, and I was saying, yeah, I just did a year at college. She looks at me, she's like, college? Yeah. Because in French, collège is middle school. And she looked at me, she was like, you just did middle school? And I was like, wow!
Yeah.
And so then I was like, no, so I just did a year at uni.
Sure.
And yeah, I guess it is very British.
Yeah. So I guess like as we have, I guess, you know, the next 2 quarters of our sophomore year, like where do you really want to end up by the end of the year? What are your plans from here till then, here till for the summer, and like where do you see yourself kind of transitioning in that stage of your life?
The ultimate question.
Yeah. Like what's the ultimate dream?
The ultimate dream. Whoa, hold on. Whoa. I did research last quarter.
Right.
And I enjoyed it, but then at times I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. So I'm still on the fence when it comes to like research. I don't know if it's because the material itself was difficult and it was a lot of pressure. I did a lot of pressure, and so it was like that's why I was freaking out about research. So maybe, you know, in the next 2 quarters, seeing if research is definitely something I do not want to do, or if it's something I should consider. Yeah. Because I'm very much confused about that, and I still don't know if I want to do it.
May I impose my opinion on research
Yeah.
and stuff? I think it's the best way to give yourself opportunity, even if you don't really like what you do. It's like these professors know people, and it's like
True.
it looks good when you're applying to internships or jobs
Totally.
or like grad school. Like if you
Yeah.
plan on going to grad school, having research and like years of it is definitely.
Yeah, I actually about that this idea of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very ego-centered thing.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about it with my grandma,
Mhm.
wisest person I know, and she was talking about how nowadays it's so much about we say we live in like a society where we strive for the betterment of the society, and what we do is for the society, and like we go towards that. But technically, but actually no. Like everything you do is for yourself. You say you're gonna do this, like you say you're gonna do this internship that's gonna help. Let's say this internship is about the environment, and it's about finding a clean way to make renewable energy and efficient. And you say, yeah, I'm gonna do this internship because I want to help the world. I want to find clean energy. But then also at the back of your mind, you're like, and this is gonna look good on my resume.
Yeah, I guess that's a really excellent question. Like, how much of selfishness
So much.
is?
Yeah.
I guess how much of it is like warranted in our day to day? Like, how much should we include in stuff? And like, is it really
I don't know.
worth it? Like, do you think like in our souls, like being selfish is like even in like the a drop of it? Like, do you think it's good for us or no?
I think it's good for you for like motivation. I think, I guess to answer your whole, I'm not gonna answer the question you just asked because that is so hard. But going back to like what you want to strive for like by the end of the year, I think it's this selfishness that I want to like tone down because I'm applying to internships for the summer.
Yeah.
Because I need an internship for me to look like
legitimize
legitimate, for me to look like someone you want at a company.
Right.
And I just wish that I was applying for other reasons than just that. And so I'm hopefully gonna try, and like this is all about like mindfulness, it's all about like changing perspectives, changing outlooks on life and like tailoring your interests more than like yourself. So I guess I'm hoping that by the end of this year, I think more in terms of interest and genuinely, if I'm using my renewable energy example, genuinely about helping this planet over the betterment of like my resume or like, so I guess that's like an end goal. It's something that's been sitting, it's been working its way up there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's something.
I think it's definitely a mouthful for people who have never heard about like this idea that of selfishness that you didn't know you have, but everybody has it. Yeah. Everybody has it. I can assure you that the 25,000 students that go here, like 24,000 will at least have that.
And it means like you don't apply for prestigious programs unless you have it or want it, right? Yeah. It's like,
you apply because it's prestigious, Yeah, it's cool, and there is a lot of interest there, but you also apply because it's prestigious.
Right.
And you're thinking about the opportunities that it could give you.
Right.
And that's
how it'll make you like look better than people or legitimize yourself or, kind of create like an aura around you.
Totally, yeah. So I think, for the moment, I think the only solution that I've come up with is genuinely finding interest in that specific thing. Yeah. Like, if I'm very, very interested in, like, aerospace, as you are, and it just so happens that it's at Harvard, then I'll go to Harvard. But I'll go to Harvard because it's the best in the nation, not because it's Harvard and I'll look good. Yeah. It's such a slight modification in your thinking and your reasoning, but it changes everything.
I think it's also like, I know I would be successful anywhere kind of thing, but it would just be nice. You know what I mean? It'd just be nice to be in like that little bit extra bit of a program. Yeah. Even if it's, the education's roughly the same, it's, it's kind of the same everywhere, but it's just a little nice. I also do think like a little bit of like that street cred and brand can be very helpful and go a long way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right. Like I think, like, even if the education were 100% the same, if my major said aerospace engineering versus mechanical engineering, like in my opinion, I feel like that's just like a little bit of a marketing thing that can like just help and be nice.
Yeah.
Right? But it's superficial, right?
At most, yeah. But I guess that's the type of thinking that I want to try to shy away from.
Right.
You know.
But also humans, like understanding humans, like we are inherently like that. And, like,
oh yeah, we have this faculty.
I guess maybe not exploiting it, but like understanding that and like using that. Like for example, like the banner stuff that I've been like working on. It's like we like to show off and like having these banners around campus that say UCSB that are post, could like do good for our university by, being able to like export our culture to the internet and have people like see that, and hopefully that attracts better people, which creates a better university and a better culture and system.
Yeah.
But it comes from a bit of selfishness, like saying like, hey, look at me, I'm at this thing that's so much better than yours, right? But that's how we work.
Yeah. I think yeah, I think I said that 5 minutes ago, but
yeah.
I think we do need selfishness. We need some sort of selfishness. Because if we weren't selfish, like there wouldn't be any progress. I feel like there would be some stagnation, I think. I just think we have too much of it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Especially in American culture.
Yeah, I mean, American culture is, the work culture. It's just getting the American dream. It's going up the ranks. It's just, it's a make or break type stuff. And so in the attempt to go up the social ladder, it's a lot of selfishness.
Right.
And so, I mean, and then everywhere in the world. But yeah, like I could see like a hint more in the U.S. than anywhere else.
Yeah, I just think because it's like the competition there like drives a bit of that like need to kind of look a little bit better.
Yeah,
right?
But then the competition is good because then competition makes progress.
Right. So. But you don't want things to be so cutthroat, right? People talk about like hating the Bay Area and Bay Area culture because it's so competitive there. I mean, I personally I'm a big fan of competitiveness and competition area, so like for me, like I feel like that's where I thrive, but it's not for everyone. And it's also not like, I guess I've been able to do it so far, but I'm young. Like I wonder like if I'm like 40, am I still gonna really like this?
Yeah.
I guess especially if I have like kids and stuff. Like
well, by then like life can change.
Right.
It's crazy about life. You think you're going one way and you'll end up the other.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought I was gonna go to college, and then I was like, okay.
Really?
Yeah, I was like D1 college hater. And then like
D1 Ivy hater.
Yeah. Like junior year, I was like, okay, maybe I should go to college. I was like kind of full force on that, like junior, senior year, and then I didn't get in. So I was like, okay,
took a gap year.
Then I'm not gonna go to college, and then like I came. It's like different paths always.
Wow, I did not know that you were not planning on going to college.
Yeah, I was like really big college hater for most of my life.
Why?
I think it's a bit like internet stuff and like seeing videos online of like people saying like college is a scam and you don't necessarily need it to be.
Yeah, a lot of people do say that.
Like you don't necessarily need it to be successful. I think I was kind of buying into that, like I don't need it kind of thing. It's like why am I going to go? Which I actually think is a bit of a damaging ideology, just because, especially people from my background, like education is like the way that you're going to be able to get out of that and be able to present yourself well. And I actually think it's a little damaging to like really push this mantra that you don't need college and college is a scam as like a general blanket thing, because I really think it depends on the person and what you're trying to study.
It depends what you're studying,
right.
Especially.
Like if I was like just, I don't want to call it a specific major. Let's just say if I was studying something else that didn't have as tangible of results. Yeah,
I could see why college is not necessary. If you want to study aerospace on your own, good luck, but nobody's going to hire you.
Yeah,
So
unless you do something so magnificent. Right? But it's like, you can't bank on that.
Totally. What about you in terms of what are you striving for end of sophomore year? I mean, you have a lot of plans. You got a big checklist, Eddie.
The problem is the big plan is very selfish.
No! No!
So I'm not going to talk about that. I'll talk about that when I'm off camera. I don't know. I think for me it's to really work hard. Like really, really push for it more than I ever have before.
Okay.
And that's why I'm doing the things this quarter that I'm doing, being as efficient with time as I can be. Like this podcast stuff, it's like I kind of wanted to do it. I recorded one episode, or recorded 2 episodes full quarter last year. Couldn't upload one, and then like I didn't have a camera, so I couldn't do it like winter, spring quarter. And then I recorded one over summer because I borrowed a camera, and then like that, like fall quarter, I don't know, I just didn't really get around to it. I guess I only had one camera, I bought the second camera. It's like, now I have my cameras, like, I'm able to, you don't need cameras, like, you could just do audio only, but, like, the film major, we really wanted to have
it makes it better.
a nice picture and, like, be able to upload it to YouTube and stuff. So it's, like, really go full force on everything, go full force on the research, like, hopefully get 1 or 2 papers out, get straight A's in my classes, which is a real challenge just because there's so many.
There are a lot.
And they're not easy classes, right? They're all, like, upper division and grad, like, engineering courses. Like, so it's not easy. I really just go full force and, like, just kill it and kill it and kill it and kill it and kill it.
Wow,
right?
yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I guess, I don't know where my limit is, because I feel like I have an idea of, like, what 100% of me looks like. Even I don't feel like right now, like this last week, I've been working at 100%. I think I'm maybe at, like, 85.
So you want to get to the 100%?
I wonder what 100% me looks like sustained over time.
Okay. Just don't burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a trick.
But if I burn out, I guess I'll burn out and
go to Madrid.
So I'll be okay. But I do wonder, like, what does that look like, and how much could I learn and get done in a short period of time? Because I guess
that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable. It's a big challenge.
Yeah, I guess I've always been pretty good about doing things very, very quickly and really engulfing myself in what I'm doing and, like, doing things, like, remarkably quickly. But even then, I felt like I was working at 40%. What does me engulfing myself at 100% look like, and what does my output look like? I'm just curious,
Yeah.
And I think from, like, a life philosophical perspective, it's like, I'm only going to be here once. I'm only ever going to live in this moment once. Right.
So make the best of it.
Why am I not always pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing? Right.
That's amazing.
So.
That is so not my outlook on life, but that is amazing. Like, hearing it from somebody, because, we were talking about this. We were talking about how they're just, you accept that some things are not meant for you.
Yeah.
Some jobs are not meant for you. Like, sometimes, research is not meant for you.
Right.
And, what you described, so not meant for me, but it suits you so well.
Yeah, I forget that it doesn't. I forget that I'm a little, like, different in that sometimes. Because I guess I try to. It's kind of a bad thing. Sometimes I try to impose my philosophy on other people. And
That's a human thing.
And I guess I often, after conversations, I, like, take a step back. I'm like, whoa.
Whoa, what did I just do?
It's not even that. It's like, I forget I don't necessarily operate the same way as a lot of other people. I'm like, I don't know. Because it's a little insane. Sometimes.
It is a little insane.
So.
Yeah. It's not my cup of tea for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just like, but the way you describe it, and you describe it with such passion, I'm like, I know you can do it.
Dude, but sometimes I feel like I, like, kind of bombard people a little bit. And, like, I need to take some edge off and, like, just chill.
Honestly, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
If you know what you need to do, what you want to do, then telling other people what you're going to do, it's not going to affect them.
Yeah.
It might scare them a wee bit, but then they're not going to think about it the next day and you'll be fine.
I know. We're also wrapped up in our own heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
amazing.
thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Maybe part 2.
Yeah. No, I think we will. I think we should.
Good. Yeah. Get some other people running.
Yeah.
See how this goes. You got your whole setup. You're ready. You're ready, Eddie.
Yeah, we're doing it.
This is you checking off little boxes at a time.
Yeah.
Going at your 100%. I like that.
Yeah.